All right, welcome everybody. This, I think, is our first ever in-person live interview. So I want to give you guys a bit of a run of what we're talking about here tonight. I'm here with Rachelle Keeley with Premier Suites Victoria. Really cool business model and a great help for investors as well. We'll dive into some of the topics that she does with her company here in Victoria and some of the benefits for investors. And before I get into that, and before we kind of break into some of the conversation, I know you're watching this right now because you're probably on our social media, but we want to see you in person as well. So November 19th is our next meetup, and we do it every third Tuesday of each month, but we're going to skip December because we always do a holiday charity fundraiser in December. So more information on that coming. But Rachelle, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Steve?
I'm doing really well. Yeah, I'm really excited to kind of dive into some of the content that we're going to be talking about here today, and I'm just really curious about your whole business and the model it brings and how you have built from ground up to like 60 suites or more now, right?
Yeah, I started with one suite and $3,000.
That is incredible.
Oh yeah, it hurt.
Yeah.
Hurt. Startup was horrible. I was too tired to even cry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've all been there as entrepreneurs though, but tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into Premier Suites and what Premier Suites does for people.
Well, I came back from France where I was teaching English and doing a master's degree. And after that experience, I decided I didn't really want to work for anybody else anymore. You have your own ideas of how things should be and how you want your office to be. So the opportunity to buy the franchise for Premier Suites in Victoria came up. So I bought it. I have a silent partner in Calgary that's awesome. So Premier Suites was started probably it's 20 years now already. 20 years ago by Tim Moore. He set up a couple of apartments in Halifax, and then he retired from A.J. Campbell Van Lines, but by then he knew so many people. And they were like, hey Tim, we've got a guy coming over from Global Oil, can we rent that apartment? And he kind of heard about a similar structure in the States, so he thought, yeah, let's do it. So 20 years later, we have probably 1,300 suites across Canada, 26 offices.
Oh.
Yeah, and we've got a great culture. Like all of our offices are kind of run the same way as mine. Mine's a little more unique though because I do revenue splits with owners. So a client will come in, and by client I mean somebody who just needs a furnished place to stay. So most of our people are corporate clients.
Right.
So they're above average on the tenant scale. So they're representing their companies. And they don't want to embarrass their companies, and they're highly educated. So it might be marine engineers, or it might be an insurance claim, like if your house flooded or something, you might come and stay with us.
Right.
With your home insurance package. So we split that revenue with the owner of the apartment. So, and our occupancy is usually 85 to 92%. So it's pretty darn good. As you know, if you buy an apartment with a mortgage and you just rent it out on the market, it's not going to cover the mortgage, the city taxes, and the stat fees.
You'd be losing money each month.
Yeah, you'd be losing money each month. And in our case, I strive really hard to make sure everything cash flows for the owners. And I run numbers for them. I look at properties before they buy, just to make sure it's going to be the right thing for us. I don't want them to buy in a building and be super excited and come to me and I'm going, yeah, no. Yeah, which has happened.
And then so once you get the keys, what happens at that point?
Well, the place we're sitting in is the new development, the 989 Johnson, and as you can see, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So this is an owner from Vancouver that bought the suite. Basically, I picked up the keys for him, signed all the documents, and I had a week to furnish it. So in a week, got the couch, the sofa, the bed, everything. Couch and sofa are the same thing.
Yeah. It looks great though. I mean, you got art on the walls, you got TV hanging.
Yeah.
We're on a corner unit here, so like lots of bright, like natural coloring, and
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is. And was it Cox did a great job building the place.
They really did.
Yeah.
Like lots of great built-ins, like just a lot of things that developers haven't been thinking about, but the finishes are awesome. It's like you want to live here.
For sure.
And that's kind of how I run the business. If I didn't want to live there, then I won't take the suite.
Yeah, we're the same way. Like I'm not going to live in anything that, I'm not going to buy anything I'm not going to live in myself.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I live in a condo in Cook Street Village that was built in the 60s. And the designer at that point just didn't really care about storage,
Yeah.
right? So we've got one closet and a bedroom closet. That's it. And like pantry space is really limited, but coming through here, like you're showing me some of the features in the kitchen and the bedroom that just really maximize the amount of storage that there is here. I mean, it's a small space. You're what, 650 or so square feet?
Yeah, I think this one, because it's a one bedroom is probably about 750.
Okay.
But I mean that's the standard size of a condo, but they're getting smaller and smaller, like 450, 550. So where we don't want to go anything below 450, and the floor plan has to be really good. Concert does a good floor plan for that size that everybody can live with. So, but we did put in some extra pieces, like the sideboard over there is just extra storage for the stuff that's in the den. So there'll be extra blankets and stuff like that in there.
Yeah.
But just keep people comfortable.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you help this investor find a place.
Yeah. Make sure it's going to cash flow.
Make sure it's going to cash flow. That's key.
Float or furnish it to a 4-star standard.
Okay.
And then put one of our corporate clients in.
One of your what kind of clients?
Corporate.
Your corporate clients, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we work with mostly businesses, like it's business to business. So it'll be your insurance adjuster or your company that would send you. You know, if it was temporary work assignment, or you're coming out here for training in Victoria. So you need a home while you're living here. So I saw in your notes that you wanted to talk about rates.
I do, yeah, for sure.
So we are a better deal than a hotel because, well, for one thing, you get the whole suite. For the second thing, there's no tax on long-term stays. By long-term, I mean 31 days or more.
Right.
That saves you 30 or 15% right there, plus the cost of meals because all of our suites have a completely furnished kitchen.
Right.
So you would normally.
So you're not eating at restaurants every other night.
Yeah, and a lot of
Unless
people.
you want to.
Well, a lot of people are more conscientious about that. Like they don't want to break their healthy routines because you know how hard to get back on track it is.
For sure.
And it costs their per diem for eating out is huge, so it helps a lot with that. And you
can get sick of it too. Like I traveled 30 weeks a year for 8 years, and like going on the road for 4 weeks at a time. Yeah. It was just restaurant eating or hotel eating the entire time.
And you do start to feel rotten.
Yeah, rotten's a good word, yeah.
You feel rotten, you do. Yeah. And most of our suites are pet friendly, so you can bring your poochie.
Nice.
Yeah. Which
is huge in Victoria, because like, I don't know what's happened over the last like 2 or 3 years, but like everybody has a pet now.
Yeah. I don't trust people unless they have a pet.
I don't have a dog, but I love dogs. So
there you go. Yeah, because I just it says a lot about a person the way they treat their home and the way they treat their animal. Yeah, and it's kind of cool because the pet will be there, and we send housekeeping in every 2 weeks to just as kind of a support service. So change the beds, fresh towels in the bathroom, fresh stuff in the kitchen, and they'll damp mop and stuff and vacuum, and there'll be the dog watching them like, who are these people? Where are they miles?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun. We get to know our people pretty good. Longest stay we've ever had is about 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Contract here in Victoria?
Yep, contract here in Victoria. And it was really good to have them in. Like I said, you get to know them pretty well. You know their habits, eventually know what they want, like how often they want different things changed up and stuff like that. So it's cool. And engineers are awesome to have because like all their socks are lined up and all their shoes are lined up and all their beer cans are rinsed out. Yeah. Like it's funny because
just a little bit OCD.
It looks good for the job, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a certain personality type that fits that really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know tons of people who invest in all different types of like product classes, from like A-star like this down to like D's where you sleep with the shotgun under your pillow kind of thing. And a lot of times it can be financially difficult to have a product so nice and still make it cash flow. So can you talk a little bit about the revenue share that you mentioned, like how that's split, and a little bit of what's included in that investment?
Our office is unique because we work mostly on revenue splits. So if you say, for example, we're going to rent this apartment for $100 a night, it's going to be more than that. But if it was $100 a night, I just picked that number because it's easier. So the owner would get $70 and we get $30.
Gotcha.
So we handle all the advertising, all the cleaning, all the licensing, and then we do a statement for you every month. So if you had to replace a frying pan or a wooden spoon or something, all of this is your inventory. You own everything in here. You'll have a receipt attached to the back of your statement. It's very transparent. What the rate was, how much of that you get. Everything is on there. So we bulk our cable. So we have 60 suites in one bulk account.
Smart.
So it saves you money. Anything we can do to save you money. Like, we're always not wanting to spend your money for you.
Yeah.
If we can help it, but we do want to keep a 4-star standard. So the client gets a 4-star standard, but doesn't have to pay 4-star prices. So it's really good for them.
Mm-hmm.
The revenue split was kind of the brainchild of our Halifax office, where they just thought, when you're starting out, and when I was starting out, one apartment, $3,000, you don't have any operating capital, so you can't rent somebody's, or you can't leave somebody's suite. So they had said, well, you might want to try the revenue splits.
Mm-hmm.
So the revenue split has actually worked out pretty well in Victoria. Because I can't lease a property in Victoria for under market value, because the market is so compressed here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've got 0.02% vacancy. So we take higher end properties, but we're charging a decent price for, this amazing, this would be a suite in a hotel.
Oh yeah.
And then we just make sure we're going to cash flow it, and off we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And for the services, I imagine you're charging a premium to the clients, or the people who are renting the space.
Yeah.
So for, I'm assuming you probably have studios, 1 beds, 2 beds, 3 beds. Townhouses.
Yeah.
So for a 1-bedroom like this, new construction, beautifully done, what would this typically go for on a monthly basis?
Probably between 125 and 145.
Oh, that's quick math. So that's what, $3,200-ish?
I'd have to get my phone out. Well, 100 times 30 days.
You're more than that, like $4,000.
Yeah, it's around 4.
Okay.
Yeah, but if your company is sending you to Victoria to work, I know that some of their hotel bills were $10,000 a month.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Because it was, more than $200 a night, plus the food, plus the parking, all of that stuff. So a lot of companies find us in June when that happens. So they're like, oh dear God, why didn't we know about you sooner? And same with insurance, like if your house floods and you have to go stay in a hotel, it's going to be really costly on your insurance. So we work really closely with the insurance adjusters and want to make sure that people are getting good value for what they're paying for insurance, and that the insurance company isn't going to have to raise the rates every year because they're paying summer rates at hotels. Not to slam hotels, because we work closely with them as well.
Mm-hmm.
We have partner hotels. When someone's coming in for 2 or 3 days, that's not our client.
Right.
So we'll send them to one of our partner hotels. And the same with the partner hotels. When they get somebody that wants to stay in a hotel room for a month, they're thinking, oh, they're going to bring in a hot plate and their dog, and it's just not their client. So they send them to us, and it's a good relationship. Like, we're definitely not vacation rental or anything like that.
Right.
So we have a good relationship with many of the hotels and partnerships with them.
Okay.
So that works out well. So as far as amenities goes, each building will be different what it has for amenities. So they may have a gym. This building does not have a gym. They might have like a private courtyard for the residents. This one does. So I'm not sure how that one's going to get set up. As well as, this one is super close to everything, like coffee shops and stuff like that. Some of them have rooftop gardens.
Mm-hmm.
David Chard loves to put a rooftop garden on his buildings with a barbecue pit and a big screen TV up there. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So each building is different. We try to stay in new, clean buildings. But some of our accommodation is in buildings that might be 10 or 12 years old. And as long as the building stays in excellent shape,
Mm-hmm.
like your strata very conscientious and building management very conscientious, it's not a problem. If it's a bit older, so somebody who wanted to try to find a lower price point, they absolutely could, because I know new is expensive. So yeah, there's options.
So I'm sure you have an excellent application process for people who want to rent here, so you're not just bringing in anybody across the who comes in the door. What happens mid-tenancy? So me as an investor and landlord, I get the joys of the 3 o'clock phone call saying hey, my toilet's flooded or something like that.
Yeah.
So are they calling you? Yep. You grab the plunger and...
Well, not me exactly, but we do have 24/7 emergency service for them.
Okay.
So I have gotten that call at 2 o'clock in the morning that their fire alarm won't turn off.
Oh, that'd be frustrating.
Oh yeah, it's horrible. So we do provide 24/7 emergency service. So the actual owner of the apartment isn't going to have to drive in from wherever to fix that fire alarm, or something flooding. I've been in a client's apartment on a checkout changeover and noticed that's dripping.
Oh no.
And so I'm on the phone with the owner, who's, you know, might be in the States or might be in Ireland or wherever, might be in Alberta, but you know, they're not in Victoria. And I am the bearer of bad news. Like, I'm sorry, but this is what's happening right this minute. You know, emergency call to the property manager. We got to know what's going on up there. So, and that's in our contract with our clients too. If there's a problem, we do want them to call us so we can be solution oriented.
Yeah, and proactive with the problem too.
Absolutely, yeah. And so we're good friends of all of the property managers, good friends with all the building managers, and we never ask them for anything unless we're in a real pickle. And then we might like, could you? But they know we're in trouble if we call them, so we rarely call them. We're that established that we're not really stamping on fires anymore. You know, once you kind of get going in business, you know where everything is and you know all the process behind stuff. So there's not really very many fires to stamp out. And, we have really built a lot of really good relationships, including City Hall. So even though they've got the short-term rental license is quite expensive now, we still have a good relationship with them for licensing and bylaws and all that. So we're known at City Hall. We talk with them all the time. Yeah, so it's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Going backwards a little bit here, in the start, so this is a brand new building.
Yeah.
Brand new tenancy.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm assuming, like you said, you furnished it in a week, which looks great. So how does that process work? Say we buy, you know, the next builder across the road, or someone in the same building. So there's places still going for about $400,000 here in 99, and we want to work with you. And we say, hey, my design capabilities are that of Play-Doh and Lego, so probably not the best suited for a corporate rental.
Yeah.
How does that process work, and what can we kind of expect for?
I do try to get it done in a week.
Yeah.
Because you're going to pay me an hourly as the designer. I do pass on the majority of designer discounts that I get. So Sleep Country treats us very, very well. So they give us a really good discount. We pass that on to the owners. We want high-end. There's probably 3 or 4 things that you need to do high-end. So the sofa, the bed, and silverware. Those are the things that people are going to touch the most. So those are the most intimate items. But the artwork on the walls, as long as it looks nice, it doesn't have to be, you know, $1,000 a painting.
Yeah.
So
Picasso's on the wall.
Yeah. So what?
Picasso?
Oh, Picasso. Well, you can do a print.
Yeah.
That's classy. So I do try to do high end, low end. It's like to keep the budget in line. We have budgets that we set for like a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom.
Okay. How
much it's going to cost, and then it's really my job to try to get it in on budget. So this one, the budget was $13,000. That was for a 1-bedroom, and this one is a 1-bedroom and den. And I was 2 hours and $124 over.
Nice.
Yeah, so I still have a couple, like a piece of art for the den to buy and maybe a lamp. And so, yeah, I think the owner was pretty happy.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's what I'm always trying to do. And the other part of it is, you know, who can we support in our community? You know, like which furniture stores do we want to go support? Which lighting places do we want to support? All that kind of stuff. Is there a handyman that we can use all the time that gives us a good price that we can pass on to the owners? Like, it's one big community, right? So we all just want to work together and make sure that everybody stays in business.
And Victoria's a small town too, so if you slip up once, you know, that's going to be a long-worded mistake. You mentioned like your involvement with the community, and I think on the website it showed that you're involved with a couple different charity organizations. Can you talk about?
Absolutely.
Obviously, like we're super passionate about a for-purpose business, and Kids Sport being, you know, the main one that we work with, either through our workshops or events or meetups and whatnot. I can't remember which the top one was, but you had 3 or 4 that were on your website.
Yeah, we actually asked our staff, who do you want to support? Because I thought it's important that, you know, that I'm just not saying, oh, we're going to support this or that. We used to get a lot of phone calls of, hey, can you guys give us money? So we had to really sit down and think about it, like who do we want to support and what's important to us. And like you said, kids are super important. And it's heartbreaking when you see kids that don't actually have the privileges of other kids. So I'm happy to be a sponsor for you, by the way.
Oh, perfect.
By the way. But I think we have, it's either 4 or 6. But so The Children's Hospital for sure, the Red Cross. So anytime there's an earthquake somewhere in the world, or something going on in the world, we'll try to throw some money that way, as well as the women's, I think it's the Women's Sexual Assault Center. We'll give money to them too. The SPCA, because everyone loves their poochie. Yeah. And there's a few others. Just sorry, not off the top of my head that I know them a little bit. But yeah, we do set a budget for them, and then we do. When the phone rings and it's somebody asking us for money, we usually just tell them that we have a list. If they want to be on the list, just to, send us a proposal, what it's all about. Oh, the Dispute Resolution Center is a big one of mine, because they do even not language-based kind of anger management stuff with kids, so they can solve their problems. So there's a lot of newcomers into Victoria that don't have a lot of English. So some of their programs don't even bother with language, like it's how do you negotiate when you don't even have the same language. So that's the Dispute Resolution Center, and I used to be on the board for it, so that I was just said, can you imagine, you educate kids every year from 1 to 12 on how to settle disputes. It's going to change the face of Victoria.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, that's why we're so passionate about kids sport. Like the amount that you learn through either organized sport or through individual sport, especially at such a young age. Kids sport, I think their youngest kids are 5 or 6, all the way up to like 14, 15. And so like if you start with some sort of program at that early age, the discipline that you get, just for one example alone, will help you through the rest of your life. Yeah. And there's dozens of other attributes that you get out of
absolutely.
These types of things.
Like you lose a game, how do you not let that like bring you right down?
Yeah.
It's okay to lose a game. Get back up and off you go.
Yeah. How to fail forward.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. So those ones are dear to our hearts, and we're happy to be in a position where we can. Oh, Doctors Without Borders is another one.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
One of our owners, her husband is a doctor without borders, and so they go to Ecuador every year and do the SMILE program.
Cool.
So we do give to them, and I'm very excited that one of these years I will go with them to Ecuador and just volunteer, just help.
Nice.
Yeah. So wouldn't that be cool?
Oh, it'd be awesome. Randy and I were just talking about going and helping like build a couple houses in the Dominican.
Yeah. Like why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of it's a bit of a working holiday, or mercy ships. I'd like to go on a mercy ship too.
Yeah.
Like just just get back and just relax. Just try to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of giving back, selfish quick plug. December 5th, I'm not going to spoil anything else because we're going to have a really, really cool thing for you. December 5th is our charity fundraiser. We just locked up the venue after like weeks of trying to find something awesome. And like the venue itself are going to blow people's minds. I'm so excited for it. By far the best venue we've done so far.
You're not gonna tell us what it is.
I'm not gonna tell you what it is right now. We're gonna do some sort of like hype up onto it or something like that, or some like surprise release of where we're gonna go. Or I'm actually thinking about doing like y'all meet at a remote destination at 6:30, and then we hop on buses and go buses there. Yeah. So it's something I'm considering doing anyways.
So you can keep it secret.
So we can totally keep it secret because it's gonna be really awesome. And awesome organization, awesome people. We get usually like 100 people coming out. Awesome selling auction items. We do some live entertainment. Last year we had Jason Verners. He's a young magician come out. Very cool. And he's got some crazy tricks. We're talking to a couple of other musicians. So yeah, it's gonna be a lovely evening, and you're not gonna want to miss it because there's some silent auction items that are like next level. Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
No,
I'm not going to miss the
Thank you. Yeah, so I mean, I love the model from an investor because, well, I have a taste for high-end things, and so it's funny. Like my parents used to always bet whenever we go to the mall or whatever. They'd be looking at like a shoe wall, for example, and I'd hear my mom and my stepdad behind me going, "Oh yeah, Steve's going to get this one, or Steve's going to pick that one." And I guarantee you, they would guarantee you too, that it would be the most expensive shoe in the wall. From like 6 years old to now. And so I have
good taste, that's all.
I just have good expensive taste, which kind of sucks for my wallet, but
it doesn't need to suck though.
No, very true. And the best part about this is that if I'm the investor, I don't have to do any of the work.
No, you really don't. I mean, you don't even have to take the check to the bank. We direct deposit.
Yeah. And the biggest scare for me too, like as just a regular landlord, is the BC Tenancy Act. So when I get a tenant in one of my units, I have to be so diligent on who that person is, because the only way for me to kick them out really is for me to move into the building itself.
Yeah.
And so this is completely different and it's out of my hands, which I love. I think I just had a couple other questions for you, but before we kind of get into this next little piece of it, what's the best way that people can get a hold of you, learn more about the business, and maybe work with you in the future?
Well, we're right on Johnson Street, Townhouse 1 at 834 Johnson, so actually a block that way. Or they can visit our website to have a look at how we furnish things, which is Premier Suites Victoria.
Okay.
Premier with an E on the end of it.
.com?
.com, yes. We also have a national site, which is just Premier Suites.
Okay.
So they can look at both of those. They can call our office at 250-595-5639.
Okay.
They can walk in and set up an appointment.
Nice.
Yeah. And we're always willing to take somebody out for coffee and, you know, just chit chat and see what they're thinking, if it lines up with what we're thinking.
Yeah.
But I do really like working with investors, and that's why we're really excited to partner with you guys, because you know, I feel like my job is really to build wealth for my partners, so the owners, my staff, myself, anybody we're working with, and to give a fantastic place for people to stay where they feel really good. Yeah, especially people coming to Victoria to relocate. We get a lot of that. We work with the 7 largest relocators in North America. And we really want them to be able to have a convenient, beautiful place. I think people do much better productively when they're in a beautiful space. So, you know, maybe you don't want to start with, you know, an apartment in a bad neighborhood. Like I personally, I can't offer that to anybody. Like, I want them to feel safe, and I want them to not have to drive out to Souk. Like, I want them to have that extra time to just enjoy the city, enjoy their family. You know, the commute in Toronto was like an hour and a half. We don't have to do that here.
Yeah, not yet anyways.
Yeah, not yet, and we're working on, you know, hopefully not have to do it at all.
Yeah.
But I just think it's really important that, you know, as an investor, if you can even pool your money, or if you can buy part of something, it's a good way to start off. Like, we've spreadsheeted all that kind of stuff of, you know, if there's somebody that you're thinking of working with, that might work. And I know that's what you specialize in, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great product for pretty much anybody because of the price point too. So you can be a really experienced investor that's got, you know, 100 doors already and wants to add another feather in his cap. Or you can be the rookie investor who only has, you know, 40 or 50 grand. And this is a great fit because for the rookie investor, you go through the process of buying the property, but then you get to use somebody else to manage it and take away a lot of that headache.
Oh, it can be a lot of stress.
Oh yeah. It breaches the buyer.
Well, it can be, because like you said, besides those phone calls, then, you know, what do you do when you get it back and it's a mess? Like, then you're like, nobody knows who to call, and is this contractor good? Is that contractor good? Who do I call about this appliance? So we've kind of got all that set up and taken care of. Well, we don't kind of do, we do have it set up and taken care of. 13 years, right? Is that what it was? 14. 14 years. Yeah, 14 years. So, you know, it's the same plumber, it's the same supplier for washers and dryers. Like, we've been in business long enough that we have those relationships where, you know, Williams Plumbing will come the same day because, you know, they know for us it's our reputation.
Your priority.
Yeah. And Glenn Williams has said, "Oh, Rachelle, stick your head under this thing and just take a picture of it, would you? And just turn that thing. Do you want me to come over there? It's 11 o'clock at night. It'll be time and a half." And I'm like, "No, I can do it." So sometimes we'll fix it if we can. But always due diligence for the owner, right? Like, just making sure that don't spend money unless we have to, but keep it a 4-star. So everybody's happy. The clients, you know, it's that first impression is what we want. Like, I always want our apartments to be clean. I don't want them to smell like anything, like not soup or cleaning product, like just fresh, nice. And I'm sure the owners appreciate that, because that's my goal when I give an apartment back too. I want them to come in and go, "Wow, it looks great. Thanks." That's
why I have such good reviews too. Like, just walking into here, I'm just kind of envisioning myself as a relocator from Calgary, for example. And, you know, I pack up my car, drive here, park, got my backpack on my shoulder, and I walk up, and it's like a breath of fresh air. And like, that's totally the flavor that you want out of this type of investment.
It is, absolutely. You want people to walk in and say, wow, this
Yeah.
is really pretty.
Yeah.
Don't touch anything.
No, and that's a cool thing too, is like, you know, for this particular model, like you said, that you're gonna attract like the grade A type of tenants and
We
people
do.
who are more mature, who take care of their stuff. Whereas compared to if you're doing a student, we looked at a student rental just a week or two ago, and you know, rented to students, I added like double what my maintenance budget was, just because they're a little rougher on things.
They can be, yeah. You know, they're gonna have friends over, and they're gonna drop a drink, or you know, they're gonna do stuff.
Yeah.
And some of the student rentals that I've seen, they're not really that pretty, but we are definitely up a level. If one of our apartments doesn't have a headboard, I'm like, this is not a college dorm. We need a headboard in there. like we're up a notch from that.
Yeah.
But like you said, the people that we entertain in our suites, they have nice homes at home. So they really are expecting the same.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're expecting things to be clean and tidy and usable and strong and, you know, decent quality. So you want all that.
Yeah.
I want my people to be happy, whether it's my staff, my owners, or the clients. I want them all to be happy.
For sure.
And if they're not happy, they call us, and all the staff are experts in their field. Like Dennis's operations, Tracy and Courtney are reservations, and so they all know. Anne and Yuyan are financial, so we have 2 accountants. And just any problem, just call us. We'll figure it out. Yeah. So part of our thing is that we want things to be easier and less stressful, and we want that not only for the clients, the owners, but for ourselves as well.
Right.
It doesn't. It's our office. We can do whatever we want. We can create what we want, just like you guys, right?
Yeah.
And you want an element of fun and an element of playfulness in there. Like I saw at your last get together, it was pretty cool the way you guys did your your PowerPoint presentations were fun, and some of it was a bit cartoony, and it was just so nice not to be bored out of your chair watching something that was really, really dry. It was
especially at 7 o'clock at night. You've
Especially-
already had an 8-hour, 10-hour day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was nice.
Yeah, we've all been to those types of meetings or educational formats where you're falling asleep in the dungeon of a boardroom or something like that.
Yeah.
And we want to go for that high energy, hit you quick, get you out so that you are feeling inspired,
Yeah.
and if you leave learning something new.
Yeah, if you leave feeling like, okay, there's hope. I can accomplish something. I can build wealth for myself. For me, it's like 2 of our staff already have apartments with us.
That's awesome.
And I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, I am so happy for them, because even if they don't do anything, even having that apartment for 5 years, and if they were to sell it, they're gonna make some money.
Yeah.
And it's like, they've both got kids, both these guys, and it's like they're building wealth for their families, and it's awesome.
So for somebody who either could be an existing client or a new client, because you have 4 or 5 different types of products that you rent out, is there one particular that's more in demand than the others right now that we could be like, hey investors, go buy a 1-bedroom downtown?
Yes, that is the one.
That is one. Okay, well that was easy.
A 1-bedroom den is better, just because a 1-bedroom den is not quite that 2-bedroom price.
Yeah.
But a 1-bedroom den allows us to offer it as a 2-bedroom option at a lower price than a 2-bedroom.
Gotcha.
So when the economy is going gangbusters, all companies will say, no, put my guy in a 2-bedroom in case he wants his family to come out. When the economy is questionable and people are a little nervous, then most companies will say, can you just put him in a 1-bedroom, as low price as possible?
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. So right now we do need 1-bedrooms. I think our economy is doing fine. I know people get nervous at times, but for the most part, things are always just going to keep rolling forward because they have to.
Yeah.
We're not going to stop buying stuff, and we're not going to stay at home. We're all going to take jobs over here, over there, and the mobile employee market is huge, and the corporate network in Victoria is huge.
Yeah.
So there's lots here in Victoria, and I always find that with the economy, when things are a little bit rough, it seems to start out east, and as it comes across Canada, it kind of softens by the time it reaches Victoria.
For sure.
So we're a little bit protected here. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
there's definitely a degree of insulation here. Like when you
Yeah.
compare even like 2007 through 12, which was the rule of the deep valley here for Canada.
Yeah.
When you compare Victoria to Vancouver, like we're a blip on the map from price drops. Like we only lost 3 to 5% in different areas of Victoria, whereas obviously down in the States, there are towns where that lost their shirt.
Yeah, that really did.
So like you said too, there's a bit of a ripple effect that happens. Whether it's east being Vancouver or east being Toronto, and it makes its way south west.
Yeah.
We do have that kind of small bit of time to be able to react and prepare.
Yeah.
But I mean, the best preparation is just cash flow, anyways. Because
Absolutely,
if you're cash flowing $1,000, can you see a 1-bedroom in Victoria dropping by $1,000?
No, probably not.
No.
Yeah, just because the rents here are what they are.
Yeah.
In 2008, we did feel it. Like in this business, you kind of feel like you have your fingers on the pulse. Like you do really and truly feel it.
Yeah.
So we did feel like our sales dropped every month for the first 3 or 4 months. But luckily, we had a client from the Ministry of Finance staying with us. So that was the first phone call I made.
Hey, you enjoying your stay? Great. Well,
because we knew him by then, right? Like
yeah.
he'd been with us for a while already, so it was easy to call him up and say, "Hey, Charles, what does this look like to you?" And he said, "I've seen this in many different economies, and I've seen this in several different countries. It's 6 to 18 months," and he was dead on the button.
Yeah.
So after 6 months, you started feeling stuff coming back. After 18 months, it was done.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I am a squirrel in my business. So I'm always trying to stash a little bit of cash away so that I have never in 14 years had to lay anybody off.
Nice.
And I'm always looking for another way, like how can I get more for my staff, like medical, dental, all that kind of stuff. Like just, like I said, just try to treat people right and try to make everybody happy. And sometimes, there's tough conversations to be had, but most of the time it's, we're pretty fortunate because we can and we do build wealth for people.
Yeah.
I keep statistics every year, so I know how much money I put in their pockets.
Perfect.
Yeah, and it does make me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a good point for anybody. Like, you have to be able to track and measure.
Yes.
Whether it's a business or even just like personal fitness, eating habits, whatever.
Yeah.
When you start tracking it, you start to become more like mentally aware of what's happening, and then your subconscious kind of like works with you and supports you in that way. And like we've been able to take advantage of different markets just here on the island, just from tracking stats over time.
Yeah.
And then we find an interesting little trend and go, oh, nobody else seems to be doing this. We found a nice little gem from tracking this information. Let's go pursue, execute, and take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's right. So at the end of every year, I do all of our occupancies on every single suite, and then the overall occupancy. And so our last 2 years were 92% and 86%.
Nice.
And that's pretty standard for us. Like you don't really want to go above 92% because you're going to leave money on the table and you're not going to be able to service some clients. So we're feeling pretty good about that. And we're always looking for new suites. We're always trying to build the business a little bit more. And there's way more for us out there. Like we're really and truly Premier Suites Victoria is just we're just on the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
I think so too.
lots of business here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you were saying about charities and stuff like that, I would like to expand on what we're already doing with charities. The other one that we do, like as we're talking, I'm remembering other ones that we do, is the compassionate container. So you probably haven't heard of them because they really fly under the radar, but you can pretty much give them anything that you don't want at home anymore, like an old sewing machine, shoes, coats, anything. And they will find somewhere in the world that needs that, because places will send them lists. Like the last container that I helped donate to was for Mosul, because Mosul had been bombed to nothing, and there were people there that had absolutely zero possessions. So they were sending like first aid kits and sewing machines and what called birthing kits, which is like a towel with some, a blanket and a couple of other things first aid wise. And it was like, it just feels so good to be involved in that kind of stuff. And they're just in Squamalt. So
really, that's impressive.
Yeah. So they pay like $18,000 to have a huge shipping container sent over to a place that needs it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It is. It's really cool.
Just to wrap up here a little bit, I want to ask you a Victoria-specific question.
Sure.
So, 2 actually, maybe 3. We'll have some fun. For people who either are in town but may not kind of explore much, what's your favorite neighborhood of Victoria?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I do love downtown, but for people that will like it a little bit quieter, Fairfield is good. And I, of course, live in Colwood. right across
Yeah?
from Royal Roads
Oh yeah,
University.
you're out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I hang out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, since March.
Yeah.
So I'm still exploring out there, but I mean, there's lots of stuff out there. Like, it takes me like 10 minutes, and I could go to 3 different grocery stores
Yeah.
because everything's so close out there.
Mm-hmm.
Value out there for your money is really good.
Yeah.
We don't currently have any call for or property out in Colwood, but I'm sure it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so after that, I do like to go to Sydney sometimes just for lunch, just because the tip of the island is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know it's just going to get bigger and filled in between Sydney and Victoria. That's all going to get filled in eventually.
Hopefully. Yeah, Sandwich is starting to pick up their development permits now, and
Yeah.
which
I
is
know
good
the
to see.
farmland has to stay there, otherwise we'll starve.
Yeah.
But for the most part, those are my favorite places to hang out in.
What's your favorite? Water, beer, or wine?
I would say for white wine, it's Perseus, their vineyard right now,
Okay.
and Superstore has it.
Nice.
And it's a good price point. I think it's like $11, so it's not that bad.
That's great.
I know you didn't ask, but favorite restaurants, I really love Bin 4. Their salads are awesome.
Yeah.
Super fresh.
Yeah.
Their meat's super good. And what was your other one?
I think that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna ask for restaurants, but you
I did it.
did it. You read my mind.
There you go.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
your time. Just one more time, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
They can stop by our office on Johnson Street. They can find us on the internet at premiersuitesvictoria.com. Don't forget the E on the end of Premier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can connect November 19th at a meetup.
There you go.
Awesome.
Great, I'll be there.
Great. Well,
Okay.
thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. I have pieces.
That's it.
Couldn't have more of them.